Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Casual Critics. I am Rebecca Baker. I'm here with my daughter, Presley Baker, and we dive into some of today's hottest topics, whether that's political or entertainment, sports, whatever's hot and going on right at the moment. And we're ready to dive into episode 4. Hi, Presley.
Hi, Mom.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm missing you.
I know. Well, I saw you a week ago?
Yes.
I've been gone a week.
She's been gone a week.
I know. I miss you guys too.
I know.
Jean randomly texts me throughout the week. Are you okay?
I know.
I'm like, yes, I'm okay.
I know. I don't want to say we micromanage you, but we miss you.
You don't micromanage me.
I don't. I
you
try
don't
not
micromanage
to.
me.
I try not to.
You and Dean just want to know what I'm doing. You want to know what I'm up to.
Yeah. Well,
I like it.
That's kind of like having an only child syndrome, I think, too. Justin was kind of raised that way as well. And then there was such a difference in your ages that I think both of you got raised as only children.
I know.
So
we did. And it's funny because we don't have like an oldest youngest sibling dynamic because he doesn't feel like an oldest and I don't feel like a youngest. We both feel like only children.
Yes, for sure.
Very odd.
Yeah.
Try to explain that to people. They don't get it. But yeah. Welcome back, Casual Critic. Thanks to everybody listening the past couple weeks. It's been fun already. Do we want to start with the Mavs, Mom?
Yeah, well, I brought my mug. Is a basketball mug today, saying basketball people.
All right.
So a lot of you know that I collect mugs, and a lot of you give me mugs for gifts, and so I have a lot of themed mugs, and this week it's basketball. So yeah, we can dive into the Mavs. Go ahead.
The Mavs are in the NBA Finals for the first time since 2011 with Dirk Nowitzki and the Dream Team, our favorite Mavs lineup ever, with Tyson Chandler, JJ Barea, Jason Kidd,
Jason Terry. Oh yeah.
Yes. Bobois. I remember Bobois.
Oh yeah.
I remember a lot of them. Yeah. But we have the jersey from 2011 with all the entire 2011 team signed the jersey. We have that in our movie room upstairs. So
we do.
We're big fans. That's one of my core memories since I'm winning in 2011. But the commonality between this season in 2011 is Jason Kidd, and I would like to say that's not a coincidence.
Yes,
that's my favorite basketball player.
So Jason Kidd's going from being point guard to coaching.
Yeah,
he's coaching this year. I think that's really cool.
It's super cool.
Yeah.
Good for him. I'm sure he's super excited. But they beat the Timberwolves in Game 5 last Thursday, and Luka took home MVP of the Western Conference Finals. Naturally,
yes,
so insanely good.
So they're going to be facing the Boston Celtics, which we caught one of the games while we were in Boston 2 weeks ago.
Of the Celtics, yeah.
Yes.
Advancing.
Yes, we saw the Celtics game.
Oh, super cool.
And that went to overtime, and that was a fun game to watch in a Boston pub where everybody's cheering, and Boston people, gotta love them. So that was a lot of fun. And then my husband was like, "Oh, are you a Boston fan now?" And I'm like, well, no, it was just in the moment. It was a lot of fun. But, we all love basketball in our family anyway.
Right.
So the first game in the finals will be on Thursday. I think the day that this podcast comes out is posted. So everybody needs to catch that. I think Mavs have a really good variety of three-point attack options. They got a lot of players that can shoot three-pointers, and it'll also pressure, I think, the Celtics to not ignore any one player because they have so many players that can score. I think also fans look for the matchups for the elite scorers in the backcourt of the Mavs. You've got Doncic and Irving in the back, and then the Celtics got amazing defending guards in Holiday and White. Mm-hmm. So I think that's going to be a really cool matchup to see how that plays out in the series.
It definitely will. I mean, I'm very interested to see a Kyrie Luka combo in the NBA Finals and how that changes from how they already work together. I think it'll be very cool to see.
Yeah, and I don't know if you've been following the games, but Derek Lively, the second, is he's only 20 years old, by the way. And
crazy.
I know,
crazy. That's a child.
And it's funny how you see a basketball player or even just really almost any athlete on their court or on their turf or wherever you see them playing, and they look like just an adult athlete, and then you hear some of these players in the media afterwards, following the games and the press conferences and such, and all of a sudden they sound like kids. And that's the case with this Derek Lively. He's amazing, by the way, amazing player. But at 20 years old, when you hear him speak, he sounds like a 20-year-old. It's funny.
Right. Well, I mean, Luca's, I think, my age. Luca's 24.
Which
is crazy.
Yeah, I think he's 25, maybe.
25, maybe?
Maybe.
Somewhere in there. He's like very close to my age. I remember when he was drafted by the Mavs, like that he was around my age.
Yeah.
And you don't realize it until he's post-game talking.
Oh, when they won the Western Conference and they handed him the trophy. And
right.
I mean, then he looked like a little kid. He had, his cap on, and it kind of turned to the side a little bit, and he's grinning and dancing around, and he looked
God.
All of a sudden he went from looking like a man to like a young adult.
Well, you should have seen he had a beer in his hand when he was talking to the media after the Western Conference final, the game 5, I think. Yeah. And somebody from the Mavs, I can't remember if it was one of the like players or one of the directors, walked up and took the beer out of his hand, and he looked like he was like an underage drinker being caught. And they were like, "Don't celebrate yet. We haven't won yet,"
Yeah.
But,
well, that's so true.
It was funny.
Yeah,
that's
funny.
So true. He looked guilty.
Yeah. Well, I love basketball anyway. I think it's very exciting to watch, and we went from March Madness and watching that to now the basketball, the NBA finals, and that's fun. And the WNBA was great as well this year, obviously, with
what Dirk understood that Jason Kidd also understands is that you can't just have one player that's doing well. You have to have a good team dynamic, and I think that's what Jason Kidd's transferring over to the finals from his own finals.
Oh, definitely. It's a synergy between players. That's what wins the championships, not just individual players. Yeah. So the Stars lost, unfortunately.
Sadly.
That was a bummer.
Yeah, to Edmonton, Game 6.
Yeah, so
Sunday.
I was kind of like looking forward to, Texas Rangers, Stars, and then the Mavs all winning, their championships would have been nice.
Right. Maybe it would give the Cowboys a good kick in the ass.
Right.
Get their shit together. Yeah,
definitely. I don't know. They're still rolling in the money. So it's amazing how much money the Dallas Cowboys pull in without, winning those championships.
I took all those sports business classes in college, and the first thing they would say was that the Cowboys franchise is the most profitable franchise of any team, any professional team.
For sure. And you don't have to win all the Super Bowls to do it, obviously.
Clearly.
Yeah. So talk about the Stars and hockey and how rough it is. I love to see people knocking people around a little bit, and always amazed that hockey allows players to do what they do physically compared to some other sports. But, basketball is physical too, obviously, and so is football. But Caitlin Clark got knocked on her butt the other day, and you want to talk about that?
Sure.
Did you see that?
Kennedy Carter. Oh, yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
It was all over social media. Kennedy Carter, Chicago Sky, came in and basically just body checked Caitlin Clark. And it was while somebody was inbounding the ball to Caitlin Clark, and the ball wasn't even inbounded yet. There was no pass being made. She fully just body checked her before the ball was even in play. So that's cheap, dirty. I didn't like it. No, there's a difference between playing hard and really roughing somebody up. And I played basketball for years. I played pretty tough, but you don't do that.
No, I saw you, thrown across the scoreboard one time and knocked down that way, and slapped and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I've gotten smacked in the face. My contact's gotten torn out. I mean, I've left bruises all over me. And I took 2 hands and pushed people down. Like, I wasn't an angel either, but can't do it like that. I mean, that was just truly, she like checked her like she was playing football.
Yeah,
and knocking her to the ground.
So the league,
they called her a bitch. Right before.
I know.
It was like that. I thought that was a dirty play. And she got in the media box after and sat down and said, "I'm not answering any Caitlin Clark questions." And
I know.
I'm like, that's the only reason people are wanting to ask you questions right now.
Well, I think
you made it about her.
I think too. I think the refs made an error in just calling it a regular foul, and then it was later upgraded to a flagrant 1 violation by the league.
Yeah,
after they
the
reviewed
W
it.
reviewed it,
Yeah.
and they said that's a flagrant 1. Like it was not a basketball play.
Yeah.
And that's what Caitlin Clark said too, because she's taken her fair share of shit from a lot of other teams. I mean, there was a double flagrant foul a couple games ago against the Seattle Storm, and Caitlin Clark hit a 3, and then she was all up in the face of Victoria. I can't remember her last name, but veteran player that used to play for the Fever. And I'm like, they were like this close to each other, yelling, and they both got player fouls. And I'm like, that's what you need though, because she every rookie goes through some hazing because that's what they do, but she's being targeted. I think
she definitely is. And then I think that there's a lot of jealousy going on. Obviously, I mean, I hate to say it, but part of it's a female thing, and you know how girls can get, how women can get, and they tear down other women a lot of times when they should be lifting them up, and that's just unfortunate. But I think some of it's jealousy because of her stardom and because of her, obviously her big endorsement deals. Some of the comments actually are racial online, which I'm like, okay, shouldn't be racially motivated, but some of it is. And it's just unfortunate. I think I think they were wrong not to call that flagrant from the beginning. Carter didn't get fined, and she didn't get suspended and all that kind of stuff. And I guess how it works is if they get a lot of flagrants, then they're suspended at a certain point. But Angel Reese also did get fined. So
her fine was about media though, right?
Yeah. So after that game, following that game, she got fined $1,000 for not participating in the media post-game interviews, and which players are required to do. So that's part of their contracts, part of their deal. It's business, So she got fined only $1,000, and then the league fined her team, the Sky, $5,000 for not ensuring that players go to those media conferences. So they got fined as well. They're not going to like that. It's not a big amount of money, but it's just the point,
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm an Angel Reese apologist. I like her, but like you said, it's part of the job.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, Nikola Jokic doesn't want to go to anything either, but he does.
Well, and a lot of times,
all the media stuff.
Yeah, a lot of times you have an emotional game too, and it's hard. I'm sure it's hard. I'm sure it's hard to go to those press conference afterwards if you've had some altercation during the game or something negative's happened during the game or whatever. Or even if you lose and you're out of the finals, you don't want to go and have people throwing questions at you. It's you see it on people's faces when they're interviewed. But like we said, it's just part of the deal. And you're a professional athlete now. And Angel Reese is a professional athlete now. She's not a college student. So, buck up and do the interviews.
Right. She'll figure that out.
Yeah.
That's a learning curve thing too. But I remember back to Caitlin Clark when she was in the finals with Iowa. I remember NBA player Diana Taurasi said she's going to get humbled when she gets to the league.
Right.
And I definitely think that some of that comes with being a rookie. I think that not every hit that Caitlin Clark has gotten has been intentional jealousy. And Angel Reese gets roughed up too. I mean, I saw somebody grab her like this by like the neck and throw her down.
Yeah.
A couple games ago. But the Kennedy Carter hit felt personal, and she tweeted after, or not tweeted, I think it was Threads is the Instagram version of tweeting. She said, what's Caitlin Clark good for except for 3-pointers?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, look at her stats. And people are comparing her stats to Kennedy Carter's stats, and it's like all of Caitlin Clark's stats are higher down the board.
Well, that's why my point is that a lot of it is about jealousy and plain and simple.
One totally.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So, well, we'll just see how things continue to play out with the WNBA. But you know what? They're getting a lot more viewers and action. And
I saw it on at a bar the other night. Like, just regular on every TV, and they had the sound playing out loud, and it was Fever game. I think it was the Fever Sky game, actually.
Yeah.
But,
interesting.
Yeah. No. Like I said, I think Caitlin Clark needs to dish it out a little bit.
Yes.
That's how I think it's going to stop.
Well, that's the same with any kind of bully situation too. I mean, you got to kind of stand your
Yeah.
ground at some point and say, "Hey, you can't push me around," and push back. You know,
Well, even if she gets ejected out of one game, gets fined, whatever, make a statement.
100%. Yep. Okay, so let's
Okay.
what are we going on to next? You want to talk about diamonds?
Yeah, let's talk about diamonds. Mom, do you want to give like an overview of what the difference is? Well,
Sure.
this is actually a topic that my friend Cassidy suggested for us. So if any of you have any suggestions going forward, please let us know. But she said her and her friends have a lot of varying, very strong opinions on whether or not they want a lab-grown diamond or a natural diamond for engagement ring, or if there's a difference, like if they feel like there's a quality
Yes.
or difference. Yeah.
Yeah. So, whether you're looking for a diamond engagement ring or you're looking for, some dazzling studs or whatever the case is, a lot of people are talking about this right now because these lab grown diamonds, you see them now everywhere. And some of the high designers like Vegley Mishka makes her own line of lab grown diamonds. Really interesting. So Presley and I kind of dug in and did a little research on them, and lab diamonds are actually real diamonds. Some people go, they're fake diamonds. They're not fake. They're not like cubic zirconia or different types of manufactured synthetics. They're actually the only difference between a real diamond, or I don't want to say real diamond because that's wrong. A natural diamond, natural grown diamond, and a lab grown diamond is nitrogen. So their chemical makeup is a little bit different. But they're both just like as hard, as solid as they are. Each one's the same as far as that. They are both obviously beautiful. The grading system on the lab-grown diamonds is the same as the natural diamonds, which is, they're graded on the 4 C's, which is cut, clarity, color, and carat size. Both can have flaws and imperfections. And I think what you really have to look at is, okay, are you buying the diamond? Is it a milestone diamond like an engagement or a anniversary, big anniversary, 50th anniversary, whatever that is? Sweet 16.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of different occasions, right, that you might want to look at getting a natural diamond for that reason, or if it's an investment, if you're looking at, but I have a lot of diamonds and a lot of jewelry, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't think that it would pay off unless you had just like extraordinary diamonds. You know what I mean? As an investment.
Right. Right.
But the average person buying a diamond, even buying a very nice diamond and a big size diamond, you have to look at, is it going to bother you to have a lab grown diamond? Lab grown diamonds can grow obviously so much faster than what it takes for a natural diamond. But there's very little difference, and only jewelers that have like this special equipment can honestly tell the difference between a lab-grown diamond and a natural diamond. And then, some people are bothered by the ethical, I guess.
That's what I was just about to bring up.
Yeah, the
ethic part of it.
Yeah, the mining of natural diamonds and how they're obtained. So if it's somebody who, is very conscious of that, then or budget conscious, because honestly they are still expensive, but they're cheaper than less expensive. I shouldn't even say cheaper because that sounds like it's they're not cheap.
Yeah.
But they're less expensive, and there's no ethical boundary crossed, I guess, if you want to look at it that way. So I think those are the two considerations for lab grown.
Well, also I think that most people assume that because how expensive diamonds are, that they're like very rare. They're rare gemstones, which is not the case.
Right.
It's more so that major companies and families own the massive amounts of diamonds that we do have in the world. And then it's scarce because they make it scarce.
Yes, they have them. They have them in big vaults.
Right.
And they only bring out certain ones.
Them whenever they want to, in order to keep the price high.
It's kind of like Apple with the Apple phone, the technology. They have all this technology behind the walls that nobody sees, and then they release a little bit at a time to give the people a reason to spend the money for the iPhone and keep the pricing high. So it's kind of the same thing.
personally to me, I don't really care. But I know other people feel differently about they want the natural diamonds for certain reasons, or they want the lab grown diamonds for certain reasons. I don't really care. What we've always said, Mom, is that I would rather have a nice gold band than a teeny tiny diamond engagement ring. But that's just me.
Yeah.
To each their own. So I wouldn't mind a lab grown diamond for that.
So recently on a trip, I got home after traveling all day. It was she's to New York. I think I went on business, came back. This was a couple months ago, and got back and was taking off my makeup and my jewelry and getting ready for bed, and reached up and to take out my earrings, and one of my big diamond studs was missing. And I can't tell you how sick I felt. I mean, nothing is worse to most women than losing a piece of jewelry. And it doesn't matter if it's your favorite costume pair of jewelry or if it's a fine jewelry item. But I lost a big diamond stud. I've had them for 30 years. My parents gave them to me years ago as a gift. And I was just sick to my stomach. So, you know, I'm in the process of taking that one single diamond I have yet left and matching it up with another. So I will go with natural diamonds for that. And
that makes sense because you want them to match.
Yes. Yeah.
Somewhat.
Right.
You want them to be at least twin sisters, you know?
Yeah. So I'm very blessed because my parents who bought me the gift originally so that they would take me out to the dealer and buy me a diamond to match it. So I'm very excited about that.
Very nice.
That's happening next week. So maybe I'll show them off next podcast, and they're nice size, so it's a lot of fun getting that paired back up.
But you're right.
But
it doesn't matter how expensive the piece of jewelry is. If it's something you liked and you wear often or meant something to you and you lose it, it's just like, oh, it hurts you.
Yes, and it's kind of like when your dog chews something and it's like your favorite thing, and you're like, gosh,
it's always something.
Why couldn't she have chewed up the other pair of high heels that I never wear, or the other glasses?
I know.
Yeah.
Fig has chewed. I'll count that she chewed my nice sunglasses that I wore like every day. She chewed one heel of my boots that I love and wore like all the time. We're super comfy. And she chewed one of my AirPods. Those are like three of the most inconvenient things she could have chewed.
Well, yeah. So it's your dog also chewed a pair of my glasses last week. So
yeah, she's crazy. She's crazy.
I was like, those are mine.
I tried the trainer and it didn't take.
Well, thank God for the deer antlers, because someone on a blog mentioned deer antlers with French bulldogs, and sure enough, that usually does the trick. Every once in a while, she'll still stray and tear something up, but most times she's pretty happy.
It's out of spite now, though. Instead of being a baby, it's now spiteful.
Right. Like if you go out and you're leaving her there, and yeah. So okay, let's talk about you. What do we have next on the list? Oh,
yeah, the documentary.
Yeah. So over the weekend, I was watching this. I was in the tub, and I was like, I want to watch a show, and I usually don't start new shows when I'm in like the bathtub, but this one show popped up, and I remember them previewing it a couple weeks back, and it's on Netflix, and it's called Dancing with the Devil. And I was like, oh, I'll just, see if that's any good the first few minutes. And I watched all three. It's a 3-part docuseries. So it's only got 3 episodes, but they're like each an hour, I think. And I watched all 3 of them. Boom, 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 right in a row. And then I called you and texted you, I think, and I was like, oh my gosh, you have to watch this. What'd you think?
Yeah, and I watched it yesterday. I thought it was really good. It was about a TikTok cult, which is crazy, but it was was it LM? Was that the name of it, Mom?
It was called 7M.
7M. Yeah. 7M. Yeah. 7M. So that was a management company that was ran by a man named Robert Shin, I think is his name.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Robert Shin. Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, and he basically was a pastor at a church called Shekinah in LA. And the docuseries was centered around 2 sisters named Melanie and Miranda. and
Yes.
they used to have a brand, I think the Wilkins.
The Wilking sisters.
Wilking.
Yeah.
Wilking sisters. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't have all the names written down, but the pulling them out of the top of my head. But Melanie, Miranda, and
who've been
Miranda,
dancing together since they were little kids, so they were sisters.
Right. Pretty close in age, couple years apart. And Miranda moved out to LA, I think like 2017 or 18, and was dancing, trying to get parts and auditioning for things and for dancing roles. And then Melanie shortly followed her out there. They're both from Michigan, and was doing the same thing. They were sharing a car, living in LA, like very close still. I've always been close. And then Miranda, I believe, joined this dancing group with her boyfriend.
I don't think he was her boyfriend quite yet, but he was in the group.
They were just friends.
Yeah,
they were just friends, and then they shortly started dating, and they were going to this group with Robert Shin, that was a pastor, and it was a kind of Christian-focused group, and I think she said they grew up Catholic and had never been like really religious. But that Miranda and her then boyfriend at the time like quickly got involved with the church and were like really, really into the church, because the same man that was running the church started a production company for the group of dancers, so that they could be like recognized and represented.
Yes.
It was very interesting. It quickly turned into, they realized it was a cult. Well, Melanie realized it was a cult.
Yeah.
Didn't take her very long.
So I think that these cults, they prey on like vulnerability, obviously. So, Miranda was out in LA trying to make it, as you said, and she was also, kind of alone for a while out there. And then when her sister joined her and stuff, they were like looking for people to collaborate with. And then 2020 hits, and the pandemic shut stuff down. So people were trying to, artists were trying to group together to create content. And this guy took advantage of that and some of his control tactics. And what he did was he made them cut off their family and friends. Which
ultimately, it didn't start like that.
No.
It was started as more like a back to religion kind of thing.
Yeah.
And the couple dancers that the male dancers that joined were like part of this like almost religious dance movement that was not culty. It was just religious focused. No, it was crazy. And I'm sure a lot of you, I was telling my mom about this, remember like Hype House and Sway House, like those are the ones I knew, the content creation house, the Quarantine Crew with Hannah Brown and Tyler Cameron, and then like the Sway House with Blake Gray and Noah Beck and all those people, right? And so they were all kind of living together, making content. That was a thing, like I think starting the end of 2019, and then whenever COVID shut everything down, it was like a big thing because they were like quarantining together and making content, and we were all eating it up. I remember Alexandra and Alexis two of my friends from college would drive to the Sway House like on their free time because there was nothing else to do in LA because everything was shut down. So like I think this Robert guy like already, well, clearly in the docuseries you can see he like already had a cult like building, right, cult tendencies, and he saw a opportunity to, one, find like fame and fortune through these people, but two, like to have them all live together and under his control without it seeming like a red flag.
Yes. And then he was making money off of all of their deals, and they were getting barely any money out of it, if anything at all, because
30% I think was going to the church in general.
Yeah,
and everybody's income.
Well, and it started off like they were kind of chipping away, trying to figure out exactly how much was going to the church when they started doing the investigation into all this. And it turns out that like 90% was going to them in some form. It was like going to either the church or the management company or whatever. And so they were paying out like 90 to 95% of their income, and then they were living on very little themselves, but they were given a place to live, so they weren't having to. But then they were paying for rent, so rent money was coming out of that too. But that also went to this group that was managing them. So really, it all kind of went out.
It was crazy.
It was.
It was a wild documentary. Everybody should watch it because, I mean, you can still find like, you look up Miranda, her videos are still up, and she's still posting, and she's still with the church. So she told her parents she'd only talk to them if they wouldn't bring up the church.
Yeah. So some of those dancers, they ended up getting out. And then some of the dancers, a few of them stayed in still. So there's that it's represented in the documentary. It's really interesting how, my daughter and I, Presley and I, have always talked about, if you think something's wrong, if you feel like in your gut something's weird or off, it probably is. So just, I think a lot of times you follow your gut. And a lot of these dancers that got out said, it just all of a sudden didn't feel right. And they got out.
Yeah, they go, man, this is getting weird.
Yeah.
I'm leaving.
How strange. Yeah, I'm leaving.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I don't know. It was interesting, but like you said, Mom, like I don't think I would find myself in this situation. I don't know, maybe, but I don't think I would find myself in this situation because I've just always known that if something doesn't feel right, you leave.
Yeah.
And even like I said, we were talking about this earlier today, how I said that I was watching Law and Order, and like one line that has stuck with me, I think, was from Olivia Benson, and she said, "Who cares about politeness if your safety's on the line? Like, screw being polite, basically."
Right.
That's how you get killed.
Yeah, exactly.
Is being worried about being too polite.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well,
So, I don't know.
We talked about that too. Like if somebody gets in your personal space, you have to at some point say, "Hey, back up, get out of my face, get away from me,
go away."
Yeah. And a lot of people just don't feel comfortable enough saying that, but you got to learn to say it because it's important. So.
Well, you heard me say that on the phone to someone in DC because they were way too close to me.
Right. And I've said it before too. I was in the casino one time, and this woman kept following me around I was just playing the slots, and she's following me around from machine to machine, and she thought that I was lucky, which I am pretty lucky, by the way. But she thought I was she thought I was lucky. So she was like trying to touch my machine at first, and I was playing like. She walked up, put her hand on the side of the machine. It was kind of like rubbing it up back and forth, and then she was talking to me while she was doing it. At first, I was like, "Okay, that's kind of odd," and then she was like, she ended up leaning over and touching my shoulder, and then I moved machines, and she came and sat next to me, and then I finally said, "Look, you need to back up, stay away from me. I don't want you near me," and then she left me alone. But
there's some freaky ass people at those casinos.
No, there are for sure. Very strange.
Yeah. But like you said, you should say, "Okay, back up right now. You need to back up." And then you have to say that matter-of-fact way. Like I was playing, one of my friends was on the metro, and like somebody was in his space, and he was just like, "I don't know what to do." And I'm like, I know what to do.
Yeah.
You have to say something really assertively, and you say, get out of my space right now.
Yeah, exactly. And if you don't say it with conviction and like that, just matter of fact, they don't believe you or they don't get it. You have to go to that extent to where it's like very abrupt.
Yep.
Yeah.
Rude, mean, doesn't matter.
No.
You're never going to see them again, and they're going to go on to somebody easier target. If you're a target, you're not going to be an easy target. That's what I've always told myself.
Yep. Very nice. So yeah, let's move on and talk because we only have a few minutes left about
long story short, watch that documentary. It's really good.
Yes.
It's really freaky.
Yeah,
watch it.
It's also very entertaining, so it's a good watch for sure.
Yeah, it was good.
So talk about entertaining. The Trump trial. The Trump trial wrapped up, and I think last time we were on the podcast, we were waiting on the jury's verdicts. And I wasn't real aggressive about my views on that, but I can say now that I was totally incensed by a conviction when they really lacked the evidence to really make that call. But the judge gave them a wide net to make that determination. And if you had found him guilty on one of the accounts of the 34, he was guilty on all 34 because they were all so similar. So that came out, and for the first time in U.S. history, a former president or potential candidate for presidency has been found guilty of felony charges, which he could land in jail, which is crazy. He could be in prison. I just think that's insane. I think it's I don't know. I think it's an assault on our civil liberties. I think it's mocking our judicial system. because of what was presented and how it was presented. And there's so many holes and everything. It's very it's riddled with reasons to overturn it, for sure.
What I will say is two things. One is what I said last time. I think you could look at any former president or major politician under a microscope and come up with something they're guilty of that's of the same level as this.
Yeah.
So the Democrats cheering and the people cheering on either side need to be very careful, because this is opening Pandora's box.
Well, exactly.
Who we can charge with what, and if we can charge political enemies just to keep them from doing well in an election, that sounds like a dictatorship, fascist society to me. And
Yeah.
I know a lot of people are scared about Trump being a fascist, but what I will say is that this is just, even if you have a claim that Trump is a fascist, this is fascist also, I think. But even if he's guilty, the state of New York is guilty, he's going to appeal it, whatever.
Yeah.
I doubt he lands in jail. I bet it's more like a community service probation type thing. But
even that,
yeah,
even that infuriates me, honestly. And then
I know, I think it's insane, and I don't understand why people think that this is a beneficial thing for our country. And the second thing I was going to say is that it's clearly showing that the Democrats are threatened by him.
Well, absolutely.
And the Democratic Party is threatened by him. And I think that's a bad political move.
Yeah.
For them going into election season to look like they care about Trump still, because they think he has a chance.
Well, they have thrown everything and anything at this man and used government power at all different levels against him, which is amazing to me that he still wants the job, because he didn't need the job. And, it's very frustrating. But I know that I looked up because I was curious, Hillary Clinton's campaign and the Democratic National Committee were only fined $113,000 for the Russia hoax story, for the infamous Steele dossier. And that was clearly, it was a hoax, and it was clearly election interference. And they were fined, $113,000. In fact, Hillary Clinton was only fined $8,000 of that, which is crazy, because then you look at what's happening with Trump, and they're saying that was election interference, and 34 felony counts. And they're just I also
like I said, I think that you look at any politician, you're gonna find something.
Yeah,
you're gonna find something they're guilty of, and something that should keep them out of office. If we're going to say this keeps Trump out of office. So I think this is just a very scary, for both sides, a very scary place to start looking.
Well,
is that
I did laugh out loud. I did laugh out loud yesterday, because I caught a clip, or Sunday, it was Sunday, I caught a clip of Michael Cohen on MSNBC, and he had, a couple of people that were being interviewed with him, and he said, what I'm really afraid of is Trump going to prison and using and giving up national secrets for things like a book of stamps and bartering for
what?
Yeah, and I was like, what an asinine comment. I just,
it's so stupid.
It's the stupidest comment ever.
I'm like, one thing you can't say about Donald Trump, if you hate him, if you love him, he's not an idiot.
Right.
He is not an idiot. And like, there are people I don't like in politics that I think are wickedly smart. And I'm like, Donald Trump is not stupid. So that makes him sound like he's like a toddler.
Yeah. Well, and I don't think a lot of people quite understand. A lot of people do, obviously, because a lot of people voted for him. And a lot of people support him even now. But I would say that, don't underestimate Donald Trump. And he does love this country. He loves himself, too. He's a billionaire. Billionaires have egos. I mean, what billionaire doesn't? He loves himself.
Obama loves himself. So does Hillary Clinton.
Absolutely.
So does Bernie Sanders.
But he loves the country. And I think he's really got a good heart when it comes to the country. I know a lot of people might not agree with that. And, everybody's got their own opinion. But the man did raise, after his guilty verdict, he raised $52.8 million in donations within 24 hours. So
yeah, crazy. And both his donation site crashed, and so did the extra one that Don Jr. set up after that
yes,
crash.
yes,
Which is crazy. But also, I don't know if you saw this, Mom, but because you're not on TikTok, but you should be. But Donald Trump is now on TikTok,
yes.
and he 2 days ago posted a video with Dana White walking into UFC, and it has 81 million views. He has 5.2 million TikTok followers, and that video has 5.4 million likes.
Yeah, and that's just since Saturday, because that's when the UFC fight was Saturday, and it was his first public appearance since the verdict. So other than the little press conference thing, but yeah, it was his first public appearance. And okay, for those who think he's they're claiming that he's old, just like Biden, and he can't handle the job or whatever. He stayed till 1:15 in the morning at the UFC fight. So
the man doesn't sleep. We talked about this last time. The man does not sleep.
Yeah.
Joe Biden, though, Biden headquarters on TikTok only has like 350,000 followers, which is a good portion, but it's not 5.6. It's not 5 million.
But also you got to remember too that he was whining and dining all these TikTok influencers leading up to that.
So. And like a lot of people on TikTok too, like are paid clearly to make Biden ads because you can tell.
Right.
But
right.
And not to say Trump won't do that, because he probably will.
He probably will, but he got it just immediately from just being on TikTok, and he had 16,000 fans cheering him on when he entered that stadium too. So that was kind of fun.
Right. Well, somebody posted on TikTok too, and they said that the statement that Gen Z hates Trump as a whole can't be true if you look at even just the TikTok numbers that we just gave, because TikTok is predominantly a Gen Z platform.
Right. Well, it's like
saying somebody has 8 million followers on Facebook and the millennials hate him, and you're like, that's impossible.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. The numbers don't lie. And then they also say that he's gaining ground not only with younger audience but also with African Americans and also with Hispanics, and obviously
I read a. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, obviously we talked about the Bronx in New York rallies last time as well, where people said he doesn't have a following there, and the numbers don't lie.
Well, I read a Washington Post opinion article before this about basically how the Trump trial affects people's opinion on him, and it was quoting a CBS poll and one more poll, and it was saying that basically there was a skepticism of Trump having the fitness to be a president back in 2016, but that clearly didn't hinder him from winning. And there's still that same skepticism that he's unfit to be president. But we'll see. I mean, clearly that he's not lacking in polls even after that, clearly based on the millions that were donated. But 75% of Republicans still think that he's fit to be president even after the verdict. And it was like but 38 to 40% overall. The Democrats and Independents and Republicans combined, all the people that were polled, think that he's still fit to be president, whereas 51% think he's not fit. So, and you never know how that poll was conducted.
Right.
But if it's in the Washington Post, it was in CBS poll, it's probably pretty fair.
Yeah.
Relatively fair, at least. So that's a pretty crazy number. I think that it being almost 50-50 is, even after the verdict, says something.
Well, I'm looking at too the fact that the people that donated to the Trump campaign after the verdict, you look at, he's actually raised I think $200 million now since it's been a couple days, but they said like up to 30% were people who had never given to him before.
That's crazy.
So
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and that's huge. That's huge. Those are people that haven't donated. Yeah, so I think he's pulling some people in. Watch out, Joe Biden. I hope that I hope he wins in November. Puts his country back on track.
I definitely think it's definitely going to be an episode of Veep. Watching it all go down again.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's all we really had for today. Obviously, we'll talk more about the Trump trial and things when the sentencing unfolds, and we get a better view of the polls when after the verdict was read. But next time, I think we're gonna go into talking about Italy, our Italy trip in July, Mom, and Taylor Swift. So I'm giving you some homework,
Okay.
Becky.
Okay.
You have to listen to. I want you to listen to every Taylor Swift album. It'll take you like 30 minutes a day.
Oh my gosh.
But I need to know your favorite
Okay.
before we go.
Okay.
Because everybody's they're gonna ask. People are gonna ask you that.
Yeah.
What's your favorite Taylor Swift era? And you have to have an answer because I know you don't right now.
So I need a crash course on Taylor Swift, and I'm having a crash course on speaking Italian. So
yeah, how's that going?
It's not going well. We'll
I haven't
see.
heard you speak Italian yet.
Yeah, I'll have to rattle some things off next time.
Yep. Okay, are we ready to wrap up? I think that's it. I know we're gonna go over maybe summer wedding season next time, like what to wear, what not to wear at a wedding, because I know everybody has a strong opinion on that. I know we touched on that the first episode, but I think it's more prevalent now.
Sure.
Yeah. And yeah, I think, and we'll go over our Italy trip, but that's we'll obviously have some more sports and politics and other things planned too. But thank you to everybody who listened today. It was a fun episode, and we're really glad to have lots of people tuning in every week. It's a really fun thing for us to be able to do and be able to just chat for an hour about lots of fun things. But thank you for listening today to The Casual Critic. We'll be back in 2 weeks with a new episode, and this has been The Baker Take.